Hands down, if you can partner with other people in real estate, 1 + 1 can equal 100. You can do so much more than your own limited resources could ever allow. My name is Kris Krohn, and today I'm going to interview one of my recent partners and talk about what it's been like going out there and taking the world down. World domination, baby. And here he is. This is my friend Paul.
Kris,
how you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Dude, so Paul knew that we were going to be coming up to my mountain home today. So like underneath, he's like Mr. Professional Executive, and he Clark Kent over here. That's who he reminds me of. Threw down some serious lumberjack. So, dude, welcome.
Thanks, Kris.
Dude,
good to be here.
Yeah. So you drove up from Vegas, right?
Yeah, literally, and then up the hill here.
Awesome. So first of all, you and I, we've only been partnered since when?
August. Well, probably September, because I started watching you in August. So.
Okay, so you started watching in August. Right. So just like you might be watching this video right here. How many of the videos did you watch before you got in contact with us?
Probably 600.
Okay.
That's how many you have.
All right. What drew you to the channel in the first place anyway?
I think it was your video where you getting out of the car, and I was kind of like, what's this about? But it was about how to get wealthy in your 20s. I'm a little bit older than that, but I thought I was just attracted to that, and I just started watching. I liked the idea of financial independence and what you had done for yourself at such an early age, and I thought, let's learn more about this. And more as I watched, I thought, gee, it'd be pretty cool to work with this guy. And then, you talked about the ways to do that. So.
And here we are, dude. Here we are. And we've done deals since, but I want to just back up a little bit further. What initiates real estate, what brings people into the game of real estate so often is just the fact that society has laid a game plan before our feet, and it's one that it can help take care of the bills. You can follow society's game plan, and you can live day to day. But when it comes to freedom, financial freedom, when it comes to living the life on your terms, the way you want, that's just something that most people will never even know. And those dreams die pretty fast because people start realizing, oh my gosh, if I work harder, I make a few more bucks, I barely get ahead. And people are busy throwing money into 401ks and IRAs and things that are not designed to create wealth. So tell us a little bit about your background, because it's more than, real estate would be kind of cool. Get real with us for a second here.
Yeah, it's totally the financial independence. And for a long time, I had, I was building up money in 401k and saving CDs but none of that, as you know, generates any kind of passive income, any kind of residual income. And that's what you talked about. And for years, I remember going to work and seeing, hey, I have all this savings. How can I get that working for me? And you talked about how to do that with, the deals that we've started to do and building that foundation. So it just gives me a lot more confidence to know I've got that going. I don't just have money sitting in the bank or in a CD. So we're great at, my wife and I, at making money, saving money, keeping money, storing money. But how to grow it is your expertise.
So here we're going to be talking about partnering and the benefits, and there's something that Paul's doing that he's tackled that a lot of people haven't figured out. I mean, when you're young and you come into life, eventually you're going to get a job, and then maybe with a degree or whatnot, you're going to get better paying jobs. But most people, Parkin's law dictates that we elevate our expenses and spending to the level of our income. So the problem is that whether you're making $30,000 a year or $300,000 a year, most of us know we got dreams big enough and wants big enough and a list long enough that by the time we make more money, we've actually already mentally spent it, so we're gonna physically spend it too. How you break that cycle is you gotta develop a discipline to pay yourself first. You gotta develop a discipline that says, I can't put all of this stuff towards a house or a car, and then if I get more money, another house and another car and a boat and all these nicer things. Right. You and your wife have been awesome at saving money. What brought that on in the first place? Like what motivates you to be a good saver?
Probably just how we were raised. Our background was, you make money and save it. My parents are great savers. Her parents are great savers, but not so much on the investing side. So I don't know. I'm glad that we did that because it gave us the ability to play offense with our money as opposed to just defense, save. And so the other thing is you start to realize as you get older and you go through all those pay raises, promotions, commissions, all that stuff isn't going to fix your problem. You need to have some form of residual income.
I hope you guys just listen to what he just said right there, is that this whole climb the corporate ladder, we're not calling it bad, we're just saying it's limited. And a corporate ceiling, at some point, like where you work, do you feel like you're kind of at your ceiling?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. And so if you want more from
how much
life.
more could I really make? Is that gonna get me to financial independence? You know, is another 5,000 or another, you know?
So now obviously Paul and I, just even since August, September, we've jumped into a number of deals together. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that, but first I wanna actually show you something, because Paul, come walk over here. I'm gonna put this between us. I'm gonna get on this other side of it. And Paul said something. He says, you've gotta get on the offensive with your money. So some of the things that Paul said, he said he was putting money in 401k, he said he was putting money in CDs, and he was putting money in savings. Now, let's just talk about these for just a second. 401k, you've been contributing to 401k for how long?
15 years.
15 years. And why do you contribute to a 401k?
Because they match.
Yeah, so there's this seductive match, right? There's this, dude, I'm going to give you free money, right? I'm going to be giving you some free money, right? You go ahead and put 3%, we'll put 3%. But by the way, can you touch the money that they're matching?
It's very difficult.
Can you touch your own money that you're matching?
That's difficult.
No, in fact, if you're contributing to an active...
feel like it's not your money.
No, it's not your money, dude. They freaking put that money in freaking 401k, and then all of a sudden it's trapped because you're like, you know what? Something's going down in my life. My daughter's getting married, or I want to take this trip, or I want a down payment on a house, and guess what the 401k people say? No. You know, and then you try to touch it, and they slap you on the hand. Now, it's only after you leave your job that you can actually free that money up, only if you pay taxes and penalties. So you accumulate a big chunk, and then tax and penalties is gonna wild, but you gotta even leave your job, so people, they get stuck. So 401k, if I were to ask on a monthly basis, how much is your 401k paying you to your personal bank account?
Zero.
Nothing. So for me, that's kind of like, I call that a speculative investment, something that will grow or can grow. It's tied to a market that I can't control, very different than real estate investing, and yet it doesn't even pay me. So don't feel bad, Paul, because you got yourself on the right track, but this is where people are at, and this is when we talk about the game of partnering brings bigger results. You have built an asset. You've been working hard at your job, you've been a good saver, and now we're playing a game called, how do I take my money from low yields and turn it into high yields? CDs. What are they paying you on those CDs?
2%.
Okay. What's inflation?
3%.
Inflation is 3%. So for those of you that don't understand, there is a market force in the world working against your money because of the fact that here in the United States and probably your country, when your country needs more money, guess what they do? They print more, and it brings the value over time down. So no one would ever invest in the dollar. Who would put their money in something that loses 3% value every year? Crazy. But the CD, what we're trying to do is counteract this. So now with this 2% that you are making, you're netting, you're only losing 1% a year on your money, which is better than 3%. And yet, guys, we're not taught and educated about money. Society's game plan is 401ks, IRAs, savings, things like this. And they are designed to get you backwards, but you don't know it. Savings. What are you earning on your savings account?
1%.
I want to know what bank you're at. Because I can't get any of my banks to give me 1%. But if you got a bank giving you 1%, and you got your negative 3% here, you're maybe making a negative 2% gain on that. Okay, so this is frustrating because the only way you're going to get ahead is by what? Accumulation. Watch this. I got this pile of money. The only way, if Paul's the bank, open your hands. The only way that this money grows is if I take money and I put more money in this bank account, which means I got to trade time for dollars. Meanwhile, my most important asset is my time. It's all getting flushed away. So my bank account only grows if I work hard, because these market forces right here basically mean that I'm not going to get any interest on this. Here's the real question. Being a hardworking dude, making good money, you work an entire lifetime. When you look at how big your dreams are, can you really stockpile enough money in the bank to get what you really want?
Yeah. No.
Guys, that's a zero-sum game. That's a game that, you can hold that for a second. It's good juju, okay? Yeah. So as we look at this, people are saying, I gotta be smarter and more intelligent with my money. So let me tell you what Paul and I have been doing. This is kind of fun. Instead of putting the money in these places, what's the first move we did?
Bought 3 houses.
Pretty quickly.
We didn't start with one house. We said, let's buy in batches, right? So we go out there and buy 3 houses. Now I want you to understand something. The reason why Paul was able to do this, because years ago, he and his wife, they made a decision. We may not know how we're going to get rich, but we're going to at least in the meantime pay ourselves and be good savers. We could increase our lifestyle. We could have $1 million house maybe. We could have more, but instead we're going to actually focus on taking that money and saving it. Now all we're doing is transferring that. And whereas this is earning 1%, 2%, 401k on average might be 5, 6%. You take this into account all across the board, you're maybe making a couple percent. You need lifetimes for that to compound and meet anything meaningful. But in these 3 homes, do you recall roughly what our ROIs are that were projected on these?
18 to 20.
Okay, so we're 18%, 20%. I looked at the last one, it's 26%. We're averaging across the board, earning over 20%. Now for just a moment, to help you guys understand that, are you a real estate expert?
No.
But you watch a lot of YouTube videos,
and
you like it. This is where people get caught up. You should never do something you don't like. So you find someone that has an undying passion for it. So Paul and I, we've got a match made in heaven. He's freaking good at saving the money, and he's now done his part, and we combine that with the 3,500 homes that I've done. We bring our 2 skill sets together, we partner up, and now we're going from maybe making a couple of percent to making 20%. Is this 20% more than the loss of inflation?
Yeah.
Totally. And if we were averaging 20% a year, how many years would it take before, for the money to double?
3.5.
Yes, with compound, it's going to be pretty short. But you look at that, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, even without compounding, you're looking at 5 years. Our track record, we're going to be sitting somewhere around 3.5 to 4 years. So imagine what happens to money that in 3.5, 4 years doubles. And guess what happens in another 3.5, 4 years? It doubles again. And guess what happens after that? Guys, it starts getting to the point where you get this little thing called financial freedom. And here's what happens. Right now, we're focusing on massive growth, but then you can take all that growth and you put it into a cash flow phase. Cash flow is, right now, we're interested in growth. We want to grow that money max. But at some point, you're going to say, Kris, I do want out of this job. We've grown this asset base. Now let's put this into cash flow. And when there's enough cash flow that you don't need to be at your job, what's that day going to look like?
High five to you.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be high five. We're going to start with that freaking high five right now.
Yeah, right.
Because we're living there now. We have a goal. We have a destination. We know where we're headed. That's going to form our destiny. So tell us what's on our horizon, because we've only just gotten started. We've closed on these properties. 2 of them are rented out. The third one, I think?
Third, we're waiting. It's one of the Florida ones.
That we had just recently closed on.
Another thing I like too is this isn't motivating when you're just saving. I saved another few hundred, whatever it is. Actually saving for physical assets, like transferring digits into homes is fun. I like it.
See, that's why I like Paul. Paul, dude, he totally gets it, and he's got a passion behind it. And that's really important, because here's one way that you need to understand real estate is different than 401k, CD, and savings. CD and savings, 401k, these are probably considered by many people's standards a safer asset. But the reality is, if it's guaranteed to make you lose in the end, how safe is it? In real estate, things can go wrong. Each one of these homes, we're going to hold them for maybe 1,500 days. One of these days, they're going to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. They're going to cry like a baby, and they're going to say, ouch, pick me up, fix me, carry me around, and they're going to be spoiled for a couple of days. And then we're going to spank it real hard, and then we're going to get it right back on track, and then we're going to end up making money again. This is a business. And this business can be, if you're working with the right team and experts, far more lucrative, which is why you are a subscriber and learning every single day, like Paul, everything that you can about growing your mind, right? Because knowledge applied is power. So let's just wrap this up. What's our future look like? Where are we headed next? We've done a couple more projects actually, right?
Event center, and we've got another home on the horizon. So.
Yeah, so Paul and I are actually partners. You know that one that we tried to get yesterday? It got snagged.
Okay.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But
I know we'll find another home.
I know. So these good deals, they're so hot that they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. And that happened on one that we presented yesterday. Had, I think, like a 26% annual ROI. It was really good. But we are in on a commercial project of mine together that is a cash cow. So, as you look to your future and the moves that you're making, what's it like you now 4 months or 3 months later, having made some of these big transfers? How are you feeling about your financial life from 3-4 months ago?
Really good. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that you got to get all the information, but the most important thing we talk about is action. You have to take this. You have to do something. If you don't have the money, do the lease option. get with Kris, come to his seminars, get the mindset training. Most important, real estate's between your ears. Like you always talk about, you've got to execute, or partner with Kris and get some money into homes. You don't have to do everything. Just do some of your money, diversify it. If you want to keep your 401 and transfer some dollars, maybe you love this and you want to do more of it. But great guy. We've really had a good experience with him. His team is amazing. They're all over it, so it's been a pleasure.
Well, and it's totally been a two-way street, dude. So thank you, Paul.
Kris.
Appreciate you, brother.
Very well.
Okay, listen up. Thank you for watching today's video. If you're not, definitely be a subscriber, because you could be Paul. You could be the next guy partnering up. And if you're not partnering with me, I've got an excess of deals. I'll teach you how to partner. I'll show you how to take your life, elevate it to the next level. All you got to do is click the link in the description below, get with my team, and get a personalized game plan. Because the reality is, I don't know where you're at in your life. You could be starting off totally poor and backwards like me, deep in debt, or you could be starting off after 20 years of working in a way better place. Wherever you are, there is a plan for your financial freedom. Click the link, find out what it is.